No.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Wednesday night Zoom call, Thriving Lives podcast. I just shocked Renee right before I
You see
uh,
my face red?
I hit record. I don't think anybody watches the YouTube of this, which is totally fine. But yeah, your face did turn a little bit red when I said that. Hey, you're gonna do the little intro. Anyway, though, so
Not at once.
welcome today. Today we are talking about a couple different things. One of which is actually a post that my wife made today. She just shared like this little quote, and I was like, that actually kind of sparked a good thought. So we'll talk about that today. And that quote was actually, "Be patient when becoming someone you haven't been before." So we'll talk about that a little bit and kind of what that means to me, and then hopefully Renee as well. And then also want to talk about your guys' struggles, questions, anything else you guys need from us at the moment. Outside of that, though, Renee, how's your past week been?
Pretty good. Productive.
Yeah,
Um,
you're working away on some new certifications. That's exciting. You got,
yeah,
you
doing
got that
that.
certifications to finish up.
Um, I thought this would be my first 4 day week back in like 3 weeks, and now it's only been 3 days again because yesterday was the snow day.
To the gym, you mean, or to work?
Work.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Like I have only had like 3 days at work for the
Yeah.
last like
Oh yeah, with the holidays and
the
now the
holidays.
snow. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been nice. I had a free day yesterday.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like that's about all. Nothing new to report really.
Nice.
Other
Well,
than the gyms are crazy busy.
yeah, yeah. Those new
Um,
resolutioners, which is always good. I love seeing a busy gym. I don't like it being so packed that I can't get on anything, but
yeah.
I like the energy of a busy gym, and especially this time of year with all the new people in there. Um, it's cool to see people in there, and then
I like the energy of an empty gym.
yeah, yeah,
Like the free pick to do anything.
yeah. I mean, I like that as well. I like that as well, um, but yeah, no. Snow day was our first snow day with Lola the past couple of days. Not that that really makes a difference for her. It's not like she has school, but Nicole didn't work yesterday in general. She has Tuesdays off, so we got to spend the day as a family, so that was nice. But yeah, we kind of talked up before we hit record today. Today was kind of a shit show for me. Luckily, I got my workout in first thing in the morning, which is a perk to going to the gym first thing in the morning because
Hmm.
after I say, kind of how the rest of the day went, I would have never gotten a workout in today. So by getting it done first thing whenever you wake up, it is nice because there's less things that are going to pop up the rest of the day. But no, I mean, what was it? Our dog ate, he did this on Sunday. He ate parts of Nicole's breast pump. So we had to spend Sunday in the emergency vet, getting him to puke all that stuff up, making sure that there was no obstruction for him. Figured it was better to be preemptive versus wait for it to become an issue and then him have to have surgery or something like that. So luckily he was all right. But then today, her backup pump, he got a hold of that one. So had to deal with that whole situation. Didn't have to take him to the vet today because the pieces that he did swallow were small rubber pieces. But we just have gates that we now need to fully implement in the house, and then he'll be able to stay away from all that stuff. But then I had to take Lola up to Nicole's work so that she could breastfeed because she didn't have her pumps to pump while she was at work, and the car wouldn't start because of the battery situation. So actually, Nicole had to come back from work and I had to like keep Lola chill until Nicole got there because she was pissed off. It was feeding time, and then I tried maybe 10 more times over the course of the hour waiting on Nicole to get back there, and literally the car started as Nicole was pulling down the street. So that was wild timing. But yeah, then got the car into the shop. So it was just a stressful day um, doing all that stuff. Like I said, I got my workout in, nutrition stayed on point. This would be a time where, um, and I even thought about this as well, as how it would have been nice to just have other food off my plan just as a way to kind of curb that stress. But in the grand scheme of things, it would have made no difference. It would have been a little bit more enjoyable in the moment to have something maybe off plan, for something more immediate gratifying. But at this point in the day, I'm happy I didn't fall into that stress eating mentality that's so easy to do. Usually in those situations, if you can say, okay, my thought right now is that I want to have whatever this cheat meal is or whatever the case is because of stress, just by saying I'm going to wait an hour, and if I still want that in an hour, then I might have it. And usually once some time passes, you kind of get past the emotional side of things, and then you're like, I didn't need that. I'm much happier just having whatever that food is. I have a few people that, have vending machines at their jobs, and they'll kind of do the same thing in the middle of a stressful day. They're always used to going to that vending machine as their stress relief, a little 5 minutes to them, little 5 minutes of happiness, eating whatever that from the vending machine. But what I told those people to implement is kind of that same thing, a little 5 minute rule. Anytime you feel the need to go have that vending machine snack, is just set a timer for 5 minutes. And at the end of that 5 minutes, if you still really want that snack, then go have it. And more times than not, once you've sat there, you kind of got out of that emotional mind, after 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you're like, I don't really need that, and that would have just compounded that stress as well, because then you'd have been like, damn, I didn't need to have that. I shouldn't have had that, that screwed up my macros for the day or whatever the case is. So that was kind of my thought with it. But getting away from kind of my rough day and whatnot, but that I still controlled. Let's first talk about, before we open up the floor for any questions, that quote that I mentioned at the beginning. So be patient when becoming someone you haven't been before. I think that speaks to most people in TLF, not everybody, but I would say most people, is you're venturing on new things. Maybe you've always wanted to be the person that is confident, that feels good, that has good energy, that's fit, that can wear certain clothes, or whatever the case is. You insert your own picture of that. You're trying to become this person you might not have ever been before, and if you have been, maybe it's been a little while. And the key with that is being patient and getting there. And you also have to recognize that you're going to have to do things different than what you've done in the past to become somebody new that you've never been before. And I feel like
This
that's
is something I think too that I've touched on when I say like I'm building her.
yeah, yes, exactly. That's exactly what that is.
Yeah.
Is you're trying to become this new person. Um, so yeah. Renee, is that kind of what you would take away from that quote as well?
Yeah, I would say I always like the best way I think to think about it is to build that person, you have to do the things that that person would do. It's like you can't expect to be that person without putting your whole like heart and soul into becoming that person. But at the same time, you're not just going to drop habits that you've had forever
Mhm.
overnight. So like you have to be patient with it, but at the same time, like you just have to commit to being that person. And I think too, it comes with like just different like identities, I would say too. Like when I was like building myself to be like a fitness girly too, like I was like very into like the 5 a.m. workouts. Like that was my identity. That was my life.
Yeah.
Um, and it's kind of funny. I don't really do 5 a.m. workouts anymore. Um, but I still have that like version of her that I built that is like the gym is still there.
Yeah.
So I think when you're building different like identities of yourself, you have to be patient. It has to kind of like be a gray area. It's not entirely like black and white. So I would say the patience comes in with the gray area instead of the black and white.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And well, and you kind of touched on this too, but we're all coming into TLF with ingrained mindsets and habits and things that, I mean, if you're 20 years old, or if, then you have 20 years of rewiring your brain to kind of overcome. If you're 40 or 50, then you have even more. And I would say the average 40 or 50-year-old, at least that I know outside of TLF, they would probably say that I am who I am at this point in my life. Like I'm not making any changes, and that could be nutrition wise, that could be, thoughts in the world, whatever the case is. Um, but I don't know. I hope that I'm 30 years old right now, but I hope that when I'm 40, when I'm 50, when I'm 60 and 70, I don't have that same thought that I am just who I am. I feel like we should always be trying to evolve in some way, and get better in some way, shape, or form. And I don't think there's an age limit to wanting to do that. But in this situation right here, being patient to become somebody that you haven't before, you're going to have slip ups. Again, if you have 30 or 40 years of habits and mindsets, and you saw your parents do things certain ways, and just effects on your entire life have led up to this point as well, you're going to have slip ups, and you're going to have those moments off. And what you can't do is say that I'm not who I wanted to be.
If
When
you were that person, you wouldn't be becoming them either. Like you would
Yeah,
already be who you were.
yeah,
Um, like I'm sure Nicole probably shared it in around the factor of like her becoming a mom. And I think there's like trial time within anything. But like if Nicole's already a perfect mom, she wouldn't have to become a
Yeah.
mom. Does that, I
Yeah.
don't know if that's making sense, but like
Yeah.
in anything, whoever you're trying to become, like you're not them yet. So you have to go through the trial and error
Yeah.
to be more solid in that role.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, and to speak on, your example of my wife Nicole becoming a mom, I mean, yes, there's some things that were just like automatic, nature kind of took over in terms of
Right.
some of those mom roles and thoughts and behavior,
Instincts.
things of that nature. Yeah, exactly. Instincts, that was the word I was looking for. But a lot of it was also trial and error, and a lot of that was us reflecting every single day on how the day went and learning from the wins and the losses of each day and each week. Um, and that kind of paved the way to getting to this point where we feel comfortable with her being back at work and things are going smooth outside of the boss in the car situation like today. That definitely threw a wrench into things. But again, though, that's an instance where she could feel like, oh my God, we're failing at this. And in reality, no, like life just threw us a shitty hand today and we overcame it and we're doing just fine. And Lola's taken care of and boss all right and all that good stuff. So but yeah, it's going to take us time to kind of get where we want to. And so that's just the biggest thing is that, in terms of progress in everywhere, whether it's the stock market or it's your weight or it's, whatever habit you're trying to do, it's never a perfect trend line. You're not going to make 100% progress every single day. You're not even going to get 1% better every single day. There's going to be steps forward and then there's going to be steps backwards. And what you can't do is allow those, that step backwards to turn into 2 and 3 because you're pissed off that you took one step backwards. That doesn't mean that you've erased all the progress that you have. It just means get back on track the next day, and whatever that looks like, whatever year it is that you're trying to work towards. And this doesn't even have to be health and fitness, but obviously, part of Thrive Nice Fitness is talking about those specific things, but you can apply the same thought to literally anything else you want to do. This could just be, you know,
I think
become a less reactive person in life. If you get angry really easy, that could be something that you're striving to become a less angry person. And you're going to have slip ups trying to get to that point. But you have to be mindful along the way. Otherwise it's not going to change.
I think you and I talk about this a lot with where I'm at in my coaching personal trainer journey as well too. Um, that you're obviously 8 years ahead of me. So we talk about it often as far as like me being patient with getting to like your knowledge and not
Yeah.
expecting to know everything and like changing my expectations
Yeah.
instead of being so hard on myself like, oh my gosh, why do I not know that, instead of like, okay, I'm learning.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. That's another good one. Another good thought into the same thing as well. Um, I have somebody that's fairly close to me that was struggling a while back. She did amazing part of TLF for the first year or so after probably decades of the cyclical dieting, of fad diets, of crash diets, and then to gain all that weight back, losing weight, gaining it back, all that stuff. And she killed it. She lost a lot of weight. And then she fell off, for the past couple months leading into this new year. She didn't gain all the weight back by any means. But she was, beating herself up about it, really, feeling really down about her falling off. But what my response to that though was that what used to be the situation was when you fell off for months or years. It could have been 5 years before you really try to get your nutrition back in check. And this time it took you 2 months to get things, get a handle back on things. So yeah, it sucks you fell off a little bit and that doesn't feel good. But when we zoom out and really look at the bigger picture, is if your slip ups are becoming, fewer and further between and less intensive, less damaging, things of that nature, then you're making progress and you should feel good about that. And if you've been off, then again, just get back on track with it. But so I think that's another good example of exactly what we're talking about. But what this always boils back to, and Renee knows exactly what I'm about to say, but you have to talk about how you're doing, where you're at, where you want to go, and what are the actionable steps to get there. Otherwise, you're never going to get there if you're not reflecting on where you're at and what your next steps are. So that's why those check-ins are crucial. If you have a journal, that's crucial. That type of stuff. You have to take account of where you're at and where you're going in order to become whoever it is that you're trying to be. But yeah,
And nothing really happens overnight for anyone either. Like I think it's so easy, especially on social media, to compare yourself to other people, um, or just in the gym or other places or really anywhere in life and think like, why am I not there yet? But like they didn't just get there overnight either. Everyone has gone through like different peaks and valleys to get to where they are. And so if you're working on building that person, that's why I love the word like building, because it symbolizes like little stepping stones, and as opposed to just transforming like overnight, you're building that person.
well, and something to bounce off that as well is I think, you know, and you mentioned expectations earlier as well. But one of those things when it comes to expectations, and some people, you know, when they first join Thriving Lives, they expect people to wipe away decades of mistreating their body, whether it was intentional or unintentional. You know, whether they didn't have the knowledge, they did have the knowledge, whatever. Um, they expect that they can just wipe away decades of mistreating their body, essentially, or underutilizing it, or whatever, you know, word you want to put there. To think that you're going to wipe that out within a few weeks or a few months, or it's going to happen really fast. And that's where does that work for some people? Yeah, I mean, some people's bodies respond just amazingly right off the bat, but most do not. You're not going to erase years and years and years of neglecting yourself just because you've been working really hard for a couple months. And more times than not, you're working hard for those couple months, but you're not really executing at a super high level yet, because this is all new shit to you. So for you, you're executing at a very high level based on the last, you know, year or 10 years or 20 years. But in terms of getting where you want to get to, number one, there's a higher level execution that you could probably do. But number two, more importantly than anything else, it's time doing it. It's time spent doing it. It's your consistency, and it's not being consistent for just a month, but it's being consistent for a year and 2 years and 3 years. And again, consistency does not mean being perfect. It doesn't mean you can't have cheat meals. It doesn't mean you can't enjoy Christmas and Thanksgiving and all the other holidays and your birthday, but you're being consistent throughout the year. Um,
And kind of like accepting where you are too. So if you're
yeah,
always hard on yourself, you're not going to feel like you're succeeding. But if you
yes,
accept, like, okay, yeah, like this is a learning process. I am learning. I
yeah,
am growing. I'm building this person. I'm becoming someone that I haven't been before. And if you accept that instead of shame yourself for it, it makes a big difference.
definitely. So I think really the base of everything we're talking about is just checking every week, and
Yeah.
we'll get there. But anyway, though, I think we can hammer that home about 10 different other ways, but let's stop that unless anybody wants to chat further on that. But anybody here on the call tonight have any struggles, any questions, anything you guys need before we started recording here? Aubrey on the call. She is a nurse, and it was a very busy, hectic day. Things were a little bit off. She's relatively new to TLF, but one thing she did point out as a win that's different than maybe what it would have been otherwise is she carried her water around all day long, so she was able to stay plenty hydrated, even if nutrition was off a little bit and things of that nature. You know, that was kind of the nature of her job, and she had no control over that today. But the one thing she could control, and that's what I would have asked her on check-in day. Did you at least, you know, control your water intake? Because that was something you probably could have still controlled no matter how bad that day was. And she did control that. So in that situation, if that was the only thing she could do that day, she got that one thing done. But aside from that, though, anybody else with struggles, questions, anything you guys need from us at the moment? You can toss it in the chat or unmute yourself and let it rip.
What's up, Marcus? I got something for you.
Give it to me.
Uh, First of all, that hot sauce, Lola, is it good?
You know, it's not my favorite. I got it because it was named after my daughter. But
But I've never heard of that. I didn't know that
I
existed.
haven't either. I haven't either, but you know, I always find those small little hot sauce bottles are never that good. But honestly, it's decent though. It's good. It's good enough that it'll mix up a meal for you.
Okay. Yeah, so something I wanted to ask about is so like over the last like year and a half, just life been crazy busy. And I've ran into a lot of weekends where like I just have like unexpected things come up that take up almost a whole day, and I don't get to meal prep like I planned on doing. Like Saturday, Sunday, I
Yeah,
didn't get to meal prep, and then Monday comes around and I don't have meal prep.
yeah,
And, there was times where I tried to just knock it all out after work, after the gym, but then that just really stressed me out, or I'm like
yeah.
up hella late, and then and then there was like other weekends where I just didn't do it and then just went, you know, bought maybe some fast food or I'd like go to like a meal prep place, but then a lot of times those meals aren't enough for me. So I'm just curious, like how do you guys approach that? Do you like kind of condense like what you prep in that kind of situation or
Yeah. So first, with the weeks or the weekends that you had unexpected things that were totally out of your control, and that threw off your meal prep and things of that nature. What I personally would do in this situation is Monday, I'm not going to the gym after work. I'm committing to, if I need to go to the grocery store, maybe I don't have time to go to the grocery store and meal prep. So Monday might be an off day nutrition wise. I always am stocked up on certain go-to things. Like I'm always going to have egg whites in the house. I'm always going to have protein shakes in the house. So some of this comes back to that pre-prep when it comes to grocery shopping, making sure you have go-to foods on hand. So that way, if you can still conquer 2 or 3 decent meals in that given day, then if you need to go Chipotle or somewhere else outside of it, is that per your plan? No, but like you still got to eat. But if you have all those other things already on hand, then you're still in somewhat control. But then, like I said before, cutting out, like eliminating things from your schedule that Monday night, unless it's something you have to do. The gym, this is where we put nutrition above the gym. The only way we can have that nutrition above the gym is by eliminating the gym that day so you can get that meal prep in and then shuffling your workouts around that week. And if you don't get all your workouts in, you don't get all your workouts in. But I'd rather your nutrition be back on track starting Tuesday the rest of the week than your entire week being thrown off nutrition wise because you didn't make that time to go meal prep. But there's been times where I've gotten up early on a Monday morning to meal prep, or a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Like it doesn't have to be those exact nights. But this again, one of the other tips too, though, is this is the reason why I prep my protein in bulk. That doesn't work for everybody. Not everybody has that big of a pressure cooker to use. I have the biggest one that I could find essentially. But that's why I always have my freezer stocked with cooked proteins so that all I got to do is thaw it out and I'm good to go. So
I think
those are
the
some ways I
other
get.
thing too would be I used to do like grocery shopping and meal prepping on Sunday. But now I try to grocery shop either Friday or Saturday. And then
Yes.
that
Yeah.
way you have Sunday to meal prep. The other thing would be like waking up and meal prepping and like on Sunday morning before your plans start.
Yeah.
Just kind of like when you wake up and go to the gym to get out of the way so nothing can derail you, kind of waking up and meal prepping to get it out of the way to do
Agreed.
so it
Agreed.
can't
And
derail
I would
you.
do the same thing, like you mentioned, kind of splitting up grocery shopping and meal prepping. I haven't done that in like a decade, only because it is more stressful. It's a long day, and especially if your day to meal prep is Sunday or Saturday, trying to go to the grocery store on those days, that's the busiest day. That's when most people are going grocery shopping. So I personally liked, when I was teaching, I'd go to Sam's Club on the way home from work on Thursday or Friday evening, and then Saturday would be my meal prep day, or Sunday would be, and things like that. But so all of those things are options. I was going to recommend as well for the average person. I think meal prep service would be good in times of that. But again, that might not be necessarily enough food for you, whatever the case is. So then obviously, that might not necessarily work for you, Dex. But also you can always, I have a couple clients that are using my 99 protein and Fuel Cafe meals, and because those meals don't necessarily have enough protein in them, I have them still cook chicken on the side, and they just add like 2 ounces of chicken to each of their meals, even if it doesn't really make sense to have chicken with that meal, just so they can have easy added protein right there with that meal, so they're still getting their protein count. So that's what they do. But again, it just comes down, and it also, you might just have a week where you just didn't do great. You can still make decent choices. That doesn't mean you have to go, if you have to go to McDonald's, doesn't mean get the Big Mac, get the grilled chicken sandwich. Like you can still just get some better options. But again,
The
this,
other thing, sorry, the other thing too, I would say would be, um, like those, there's like microwavable like rice
Mhm.
packs. Like I do like seeds of change.
Yep.
Those only take like 90 seconds to heat up, and then you can always get to like stop and get like a rotisserie chicken, or I'll get like grilled nuggets from Chick-fil-A. So instead of like meal prepping, I just have those like the 8-piece chicken nugget or whatever. Not
Yep.
chicken nugget, grilled chicken.
Yep.
And then I just throw the rice in the microwave instead of like having to go and cut up potatoes or things like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, is that cost efficient? Probably not to go to Chick-fil-A instead of
but it gets you through.
made, but it gets you through. And it's still a healthy choice.
You also brought up rotisserie. I have another client recently that her husband's the one that does a lot of the meal prepping or meal cooking in terms of proteins and stuff of that nature. But what I recommended her, because she didn't like some of the proteins he was making, was like, go to Sam's Club or Costco and go get 2 or 3 of those rotisserie chickens. If you're able to, because that's at least 4 or 5 servings per chicken. And so you have your lunches and dinners right there, and it's already cooked meals. So if you don't have time to meal prep, those rotisserie chickens, I mean, I get them every time I go to Sam's Club if they have one, and that's what I use my chicken for, 4 meals over the next couple days or so. So that's another really good
Tuna
option.
is another fast one.
Yep.
Just
Tuna,
don't eat it every day.
canned tuna, packet of tuna, whatever the case is. Those are, yeah. So hopefully, Dexter, hopefully some of those tips will do it. But I still say that some of the things you should do to, because you can't plan for unexpected events like that. But what you can do is have more go-to things stocked up in your house, in your pantry, things like tuna, things like, protein powders, egg whites, the extra cooked protein that's just in the freezer ready to go. Those are all good ideas. And then if you don't have any of that stuff, then, rotisserie chicken and things like that would definitely be good ideas.
Okay, cool. Appreciate that. That helps.
Yeah.
Just to follow up on the point you mentioned about like meal prep places. Um, I haven't been to them very, very many times, but like, are you able to like get custom meals from them or like one that has enough? I know they're usually short of protein, but
Yeah.
when I went, it was also short of like carbs for me too. So I'm like, can
Yeah.
you get them to make meals that got more?
So I can't speak on all of them. I've only personally bought or recommended a handful of different companies and things like that. But what I will say that's always been pretty consistent across the board. I've never like I know what 50 grams of protein from chicken looks like or from ground beef looks like, things like that. And a lot of these meal prep companies will put, really high protein numbers on this. And I'm like, I know damn well that's like 3 ounces of that protein, and that does not equal 40 grams of protein for that meal. So they kind of bump up some of those numbers. And I think they kind of, I don't know necessarily about the carbs and the fat ratio on there as well. But one thing you could do as well with that, is I know Fuel Cafe, I don't know about the rest of them, you can order cooked things in bulk. So you can order like a pound of cooked chicken, a pound of ground beef, rice, cooked veggies and stuff like that. And then you can make your own meals with that. That's another option. With any of those meal prep services, the other con to those though is you're paying a higher price for it. Instead of paying $2 or $3 per pound of chicken at the grocery store, you're paying, 8 to 9 pounds for a pound of cooked chicken. So it might be worth it time wise, but there's also that cost associated with it as well. But so to answer your question, I don't know if there's any companies that will specifically
That doesn't work.
those.
Yeah, it should.
Does it?
Does that answer your question, Dex?
Yeah, that does.
Cool.
I've ordered bulk before, but I was just wondering about that. So thanks.
Yeah. The bulk is the only way that I know that I think it could work. We have a couple messages here on the sidebar. Biggest struggle this week was getting a stomach virus from my toddler and eating more carbs, brat diet, and I'm back. I'm getting used to bouncing back normal. And yeah, that's one of those things where it's something out of our control, like totally out of our control. I have another client that she got COVID, immediately when getting started, and that's just one of those, shitty timing, but it is what it is. And so don't be too hard on yourself with that. It's just a matter of getting back on track. Usually what I always recommend when somebody gets sick, whether it's COVID or it's a stomach virus or something like that, is, get what water in you can, stay hydrated as best you can, rest up. Don't try to push yourself in any way, which most people aren't if they're feeling sick like that anyway. And then get in what you can stomach, depending on what your actual issue is. One of the easiest things that usually is again easy to do, doesn't require you having to cook a lot and things like that, is making like smoothies. And that usually, it's refreshing, it's hydrating, you're getting micronutrients in, vitamins and minerals to hopefully help you recover a little bit faster as well. So doing like a fruit smoothie with added protein or whatever the case is to it, maybe even some chia seeds to it so you can get your fiber in. So you could still get a couple meals like that. I know I had one person that kind of said the same thing. I forgot who it was, that I can't really stomach actual food right now. Is it okay, even if it's just for a couple days, to lean on protein shakes a little bit more? And yes, of course, you want to get fed. You still want to feed yourself so you can recover. And what I recommend, 3 protein shakes a day, most likely not. But in this situation, that's all you can get down. That's all you can get down. So just make the most of it and then get back on track as fast as you can. Anything to add to that, Renee? Getting sick and things
Mhm.
like that.
No, I mean, I just would say when you're sick, don't lean on your shitty comfort food.
Yeah, yeah,
That's only going to make you worse.
yeah,
So, like, I get it when you're sick, like, all you want is comfort, but try to eat something that is at least going to fuel your body instead of hurt it more.
yeah,
You don't
yeah,
want to kick yourself when you're already down.
yeah,
So, just think about trying to pick the healthy option when you are sick. I would say that's the most important. Obviously, it's always important to be healthy,
yeah,
but I would say that's probably like the most important time to actually
yeah,
fuel your body with nutrients.
yeah. But if you happen to get caught up in the mix of it all, and you do happen to make bad choices, which will happen to some people from time to time, again, it's just about getting back on track as fast as you can. Which usually starts with getting your grocery shop done once you're able to go to the grocery store and get meal prepped again. Any ideas of snacks that are good on macros but are also easy to eat on the go? And trying to take quick, easy on the go things for lunch. Since you might not necessarily have a designated lunchtime at work. Um, so snacks that you could take with it. I've got some clients that introduced me to Chomp, like beef jerky bars, or sticks, whatever they're called. They're called Chomp sticks though. So that would be something with it. Really any sort of those beef jerky things are good enough things. Try to get like the lower sugar ones. Outside of that, depending on what your job is and what you can have access to, um, any of those pre-made protein shake ones. So maybe instead of having, one with like a shaker bottle with powder already in it, then you got to add water to it. Things like Premier Protein and stuff like that, just have on hand. I don't even think you have to have those things refrigerated. So, if you have a desk or an office or a backpack or whatever, just kind of having those things with you for that. I'm a huge fan of rice cakes for my other snacks with it, but that's assuming you have time to sit down and eat a couple rice cakes, though. Renee, any ideas for other snacks off the top of my head?
Yes. So I messaged back, but just so everyone can hear it,
Oh,
I
okay.
said 88 acres, which I get one. It's like dark chocolate sea salt and pumpkin seeds, I want to say. It's good, clean ingredients, and then protein fiber. And then mezcla bars. I do like the Mexican hot chocolate one. It's like pea protein, and then again, it has fiber in it. Um, and then Go Macro bars. Those are a little higher calorie, but again, good fat, fiber, protein, carbs. There's one other one that I like, and I don't remember the
I really
exact
like the Bearbell protein bars. Those are probably my favorite.
what.
Bearbell protein bars. I think that's how you
I've
pronounce
heard of
it.
it.
They're pretty tasty. They're the least proteiny bars out of the protein bars, if that makes sense. Because usually protein bars are just crazy chewy. Those are pretty good.
Yeah. I also will eat Catalina Crunch dry cereal. It's very expensive,
Hate Catalina Crunch.
but it's really good.
I don't like it.
I like
But I'm
it.
happy you do.
The dark chocolate one is good.
Higher protein, I know, and lower carb fiber in there as well. I know
Yeah, it's high
it's about
protein,
as
high
crunchy as
fiber.
gravel, but yeah, if you like it, you like
It
it.
is not gravel. Let me look at, there's this name of this other bar that, oh, it's called a True Bar.
Yeah, I've seen those as well.
It looks, I don't know if you can see,
Yeah,
but
I've seen those. Um,
those have a lot of fiber in them and protein. So anything I choose is gonna have high protein, high fiber when it comes to like snacks and bars. Um, Personally.
there's also, yeah, Legendary is a protein brand. And they make like protein Pop Tarts,
Mhm.
protein what am I saying here? Cinnamon rolls. Uh,
Donuts.
yeah, and donuts. Those are all honestly, I mean, in terms of like a high protein snack like that, if you're trying to go high protein like that, those are delicious. I like those a lot. Again, these are all things that you not I don't think should necessarily be part of a daily balanced nutrition, but I think those are good things to have on hand. I
I
mean,
just like wander the protein aisle,
yeah,
the protein bar aisle. I used to wander Ivy and I do it at Whole Foods, but I'll just go in and read all the like the nutrition labels on all of them and see which one's best. And then
yeah,
I am a sucker for like the pretty packaging, so I read those first and then look at it and see if I like it. But
yeah,
protein bars I usually hate, so the ones I mentioned I
pretty good.
actually really like.
Yeah.
Um,
But these things as well, I think everybody should have some of these find your go-tos and always have them on hand, because they are good grab and go things. Hey, you ran out of time for breakfast, or you ran out of time and you got to get to an appointment or something like that. Take that with you, because otherwise now you're out and about, you're not prepared with anything to eat, and then you're going to make that poor decision because you're lack on time, you're in a rush, and you're going to stop and grab, a couple Chick-fil-A sandwiches or whatever, which I'm not hating on Chick-fil-A. I love Chick-fil-A sandwiches, but if that wasn't what you were planning on doing, then having something else like that you could go with. Plus, it's already bought at that point, and then you're not spending more money eating out. Also, like at night
always
as well, I like having an option. Like I like a Lenny and Larry's cookie. I like the legendary Pop Tarts or whatever the case is, so that if I'm a little bit short of my macros that day, or maybe I just don't have the appetite to go eat my full dinner at that point, I could still get in some calories. I could still go get in some protein. Those are also good things to, sneak into a movie instead of smashing a giant thing of popcorn, having some of those other options. And yes, I said sneak into a movie. If you're not sneaking snacks into movies, then you're doing that shit wrong. I'm part of the reason why they're going out of business, but I bring in full ass Chipotle meals to movies. But yeah. Anything else on that? And I swear to God, we will have Chipotle or longboards. I've never brought in a full Italian meal to a movie, but we bring in some crazy shit though. Um, Definitely Chick-fil-A, any of that stuff, especially wintertime. You can wear some big ass coats. I come prepared to a movie.
I was about to ask where you put it, Marcus.
Yeah, big ass coat, big purses. You would think they would check that stuff, but I think they're happy that they're buying for a movie. Um, but Kaylee
you
also
also do like chicken. Like I remember like a year ago I went to a Chiefs game and instead of everyone having like their tailgate food, I had chicken.
oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
I think it was a like just pre-made little like cold chicken strips.
Oh, that's cool.
Not breaded, but
Yeah.
um I mean not that most people are gonna skip out on tailgate food unless you have a million allergies like me. But
But
it's always an
that's
option to have cold chicken.
well, and it's whether you're coming there and you're setting yourself up for failure to make a bad choice, or just have to starve yourself at a Chiefs game. Um, I don't know how we got caught on tailgate foods, but that's definitely a good option as well. But I mean, since you brought it up though, I think that's something we can also kind of chat about for a second as well. Is if you're going to a tailgate, obviously, if you're going this Saturday, you're probably not going to be doing much tailgating because it's going to be -7 or whatever it's going to be. But just in general, if you're doing tailgate stuff and if somebody's grilling out, you might bring your own protein and just say, hey, can you toss on this chicken breast or something else if you don't want to indulge. If I'm going tailgating, I'm planning on it to be my cheat meal for the week. So I'm going to enjoy myself and not be too hypercritical of it. But if you're somebody who tailgates all the time, I have one client that goes to like Mizzou games on Saturday to tailgate and then goes to Chiefs games the next day. Well, there's two giant cheat meals. So let's be intentional about which one are you going to enjoy to its full extent, and then which one are you going to be a little more conservative with. So just planning ahead with all that stuff. Um, have you thought about using HelloFresh? They deliver everything to you for you. You can pick your meals, pick your amount of portions and protein and stuff like that. I don't know if that was trying to answer Dexter and his question about having food on hand, or just asking us if we've ever tried it. We have tried HelloFresh. I think it's a good way to practice and learn cooking. You get some more variety into your life as well with it. I know that they also allow you to kind of say that, no dairy, no pork, like no certain, like if you have food allergies, you can specify that as well to make sure you get the right foods. I will say, you know, they're not always the most protein centric. They usually will use obviously I could ask for no dairy, but they lean on some of those recipes that they're not really worried about the macros. They're just worried about helping you create a balanced, healthy meal. I think in the scheme of healthy, I think HelloFresh is actually pretty solid in the scheme of trying to be a little bit more, focused when it comes to like body composition and things of that nature, I think it can be a little bit harder. I've got some clients on plans where they use HelloFresh every single day of the week for their dinners, but then we control the rest of their meals, knowing that those meals are probably going to be a little bit higher on the fat side. Some of those are going to be a little bit higher on the carb side. We have made those changes in their breakfast and lunch and snacks and things like that, so that they have more wiggle room in their carbs and fats for that meal at nighttime. But yeah, I think HelloFresh is a great idea if you do it. If you want to try it out, I mean, they always have good specials going on as well. So if you want to take advantage of it, take advantage of it. I think the biggest drawback to those is you still have to do the cooking.
Yeah.
So which is great. I mean, you're not really going to meal prep your HelloFresh things, but I mean, if you have time to do it, then definitely go for it. But if you're not always in a situation where you can actually sit there and cook the food, that's the biggest limiting factor to it, is if you can't cook it because you don't have time to, or whatever the case would be. But yeah, I think that's a
I
good idea.
put tuna on my rice cakes too, since we were talking about rice cakes.
Yep.
Um,
Hopefully not chocolate rice cakes. That'd be weird.
no.
Chocolate rice cakes, the only rice cakes I eat. If they don't have them, I'm just not eating rice cakes at the grocery store then. Yeah. I mean, we covered all that. Anybody else have any questions, thoughts, concerns, struggles? Kayla, what's up?
So I actually had a friend that told me this thing that she's doing, and I thought it was pretty cool. She's making a bingo sheet, and so you can set the amount of time. I think she's going to do hers for like a year. So essentially, it's 25 squares. You get a free space, and then you put things in each square. So like I'm thinking about doing one, so I think I would put like a 5K on one of the squares, go on a hike on one of the squares, get a PR and something,
Yeah.
So
What
I
happens
thought
if you
that was
get
kind of a
bingo?
cool. I think that's kind of up to you. So I think like maybe if you get a diagonal, go to the movies. If you
Oh,
get
that's
a
cool.
horizontal, go skating or bowling. And then if you get like blackout, do something you really want. Like I've been thinking about getting a paddleboard, and those are like $120.
Yeah,
So
so be
maybe
a
if I
10
hit my
extra break.
blackout,
Yeah. I like that. That's a good idea. I think anytime you can, what's it called? Gamifying. You can gamify weight loss. And I know there's actual apps out there. Like I know that some of them have like apps where you can like actually win money for losing weight. Somebody mentioned it a while back. I think it was like a year or two ago. Might be called Lose It or something. I thought about actually looking into that for some clients. But maybe not lose it anyway though. But yeah, you can gamify that stuff. So I think having like your own little fun version of bingo or something like that, I think that's a great idea. Any way you can make this stuff even more fun, because I mean, let's face it, when we're all getting started, getting results is fun. You might enjoy working out, but there's at least one facet of living a healthy, balanced lifestyle that isn't exactly enjoyable.
Just takes patience.
At least not at the very beginning. You kind of got to push through it. I mean, it just comes down to that. There's some shit you just got to push through if you want to become that person. As we talked about at the very beginning of this call. But when you can make things a little bit more fun, when you can include your friends and family into what you're doing, when you can, have those kind of self accountability goals that make it a little bit more fun and interesting, I think that's great. So any way you can do that, go for it. And Kaylee, if you end up doing that, if you end up creating that bingo sheet for yourself, definitely post it in one of the groups. There might be one, if not a lot of people that would, do it with you, make their own things. I just think that sharing any of these ideas, what works for me might not work for everybody else, and what works for you might not work for everybody else. So I think just sharing these ideas is always good. I've also loved everybody sharing and posting a lot more, just collaborating in the groups. That's been awesome to see. I think it's been happening a lot more the past, I don't know, month or so. I would credit it to Renee joining TLF. So good job, Renee, on all you're doing. But yeah, everybody else, keep that up though. I'm loving all the posting interactions. I mean, somebody asked today about yoga. I sent them some links, and then everybody else just filed in with a lot more things. So I think that's awesome, seeing that teamwork, which is the community that we want to build even more of. We're all going to do we're all going to do better when we're doing things together. So I think that's great. Anybody else have anything else before we hop off for the night? Thanks for all being here. All righty, friends. Well, happy Wednesday night. Happy check-in day tomorrow. Yeah, have an awesome weekend. Go Chiefs. if you go to the game, do whatever you can to stay warm. And yeah, we'll see you guys on check-in day and see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thank you.
See y'all.